A great IPL, another IPL round the corner, and so much to happen in between. I personally believe brand IPL became much stronger as a result of actually playing it in September, October, early November in the UAE. It just emerged an even more powerful tournament in the hierarchy of cricket tournaments in the world. But now there's another due in end of March, and as I said, so much to happen in between. Are we going to have 9 teams? Are we going to have 10 teams? Are we going to have a mega auction? So much thought, so much floating around. I thought I'll give you my views on that. I'm not a fan of constant mega auctions because I think teams need to be rewarded for building and nurturing and staying with players. But I don't mind 9 teams because 9 teams gives you 74 games instead of the 60 at the moment. It means you add on 8-9 days, maybe add on an extra doubleheader somewhere, and you get a 9-team tournament. It's the next best option to 8. At the moment, there's nothing wrong with the IPL, so you don't need to change anything. But if you have to, if you think there's a greater revenue possibility, bring in a 9th team. I'm dead against having 10. Because the moment you have 10 teams, either you play 94 games, which means you're looking at a sort of 77, 78, even 80-day IPL. And we don't yet know whether there is the appetite for that. It could, but it'll start affecting the availability of international players. There's lots of team balance issues to consider. But also, if 94 is deemed to be a fatigue inducing tournament, as we've seen a little bit with the Big Bash, but IPL is very different from the Big Bash, then you start to split them into 2 groups. And as we did in an earlier IPL, you say you play home and away with teams within your group, and you play only home or only away with one team from the other group. Try explaining that to people who love the IPL and who love the one-on-one contest within an IPL. Why does Delhi Capitals have to play Mumbai Indians twice, but Sunrisers only plays the Mumbai Indians once? Try explaining to that. We have a headache explaining umpire's call anyway. The greatest thing about T20 cricket, the most beautiful thing about the IPL is its simplicity. It's very clear to everybody who's playing whom, where, when, what. It's so easy to understand. I'm also not a fan of big mega auctions because we're starting to see, and we've seen this for a while now, but we're starting to see it even more, that teams are nurturing players, that players are getting better because of the environment that they are playing in. This fan loyalty is building with every single IPL, and suddenly, boom, that's gone. And I'll give you a few examples. Ishan Kishan at Mumbai Indians. Everybody is talking, from Nasir Hussain down, everyone's saying, who is this Ishan Kishan? Wow, what a player. Mumbai Indians have spent a lot of effort in developing Ishan Kishan as a player, in giving Surya Kumar Yadav that number 3 slot in the earlier times in the development of Pandya and Bumrah. And suddenly you say, sorry, but if you don't retain him, he's gone to somebody else. Look at what KKR have done, the amount of time they spent with Varun Chakravarti in the off-season, how loyal they have been, how protective they have been about Shivam Mavi, about Kamlesh Nagarkoti. Even when they were not available, they stayed with them when they were injured. Now they're starting to see the fruit of their efforts, and suddenly they're not available. They go to somebody else. So you're starting to see that with so many teams now. You'll see that with specific players from the Sunrisers. Look what Padikkal has done for RCB. Suddenly you're starting to have that retention issue. So I'm not a big fan because I'm afraid that if we continue to have these mega auctions, then teams will say, what is the point in me spending a lot of time, money, nurturing a player for a year and a half, 2 years, and then he's going to use all that knowledge against me in a game sometime. I think the IPL must evolve and reach a stage where teams would actively want to scout players, go into the hinterland. Budgets are not an issue for them. Go into the hinterland, go to Jammu Kashmir, go to the Northeast, find players from there, develop them, and then enjoy them for 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And I think the IPL and the franchises will play a huge part in unearthing talent in Indian cricket, and they should have the incentive to be able to do that. So those are my views on the IPL. Not a big fan of mega auctions periodically, but no more than 9 teams. I also think we now need a 10-year plan for the IPL. The IPL is not just, it's still a little child compared to the other leagues, but it now needs a 10-year plan. Do we eventually want to have 12 teams in the IPL? Do we eventually want to have a 4-month calendar for the IPL? I think franchises need to be taken into confidence because they will plan accordingly. Maybe you should have just one big auction if you do get down to 12 teams, and then that's it, no more auctions. But the IPL is now the most valuable brand property outside the World Cups. It needs to be handled with a lot of care. Franchises, everyone taking together. It's a pride of Indian cricket. So, my views, what are yours?